What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
You already know. If you don't know, now you know. The most charismatic man in entertainment, the Prince of Fresh Air. We're back again, bro.
Yes, sir. So, interesting topic we're going to talk about today. And it's a topic that initially I wasn't going to speak on, but once you know who, LeBron James, spoke on it, it then gave me license to kind of give my 2 cents on it. And we have two articles, one courtesy of Washington Post, which is the impetus for this whole entire controversy debacle, and it is a 1957 photo of Jerry Jones reminds us how recent America's past is. The article goes on to say, last Wednesday, as Americans were traveling for Thanksgiving or otherwise preparing for the holiday, the Washington Post published an interesting story about Jerry Jones, the legendary owner of the Dallas Cowboys. The story was framed around Jones's legacy with the NFL, including that his team had relied almost exclusively on white coaches during his tenure. And while that's true, it may be a story from Jones's youth that sheds the most interesting light on race in America. On September 9th, 1957, Jones was one of a few dozen white teenagers who confronted a group of black students outside the doors of North Little Rock High in Arkansas. A photograph of the encounter taken by a photographer from the Associated Press centers on two students, one laughing, one with a cigarette in his snarl, staring down one of the black students. Shortly after the photo was taken, the black students were pushed back down the stairs to the street, their effort to integrate the school rejected by force, at least for the time being. And in the background, a few feet behind the snarling kid, you can see Jerry Jones. Now, before I kind of continue on to the actual focal point of this quick take, bro, what is your take on it if you heard about it at all?
I did hear about it, and I gotta say, shout out to LeBron for speaking up and using this platform to dig the media, criticize the media, and criticize the the hypocrisy that goes on within the entertainment industry. Now, with this being said, one thing I do agree with LeBron was that this was from many years ago. Everybody makes mistakes. And I think the context is important. Now, a lot of people might be looking to have Jerry Jones head or defend this man. Yeah, he was 14 years old. We all done stupid things when we was 14 years old, especially at that time, right? But there is something to be answered for because, like you said, and part of the article I was reading, I was saying that, there's a couple facts that questions Jerry Jones' beliefs because he's came out and said, "Oh, I was just observing the situation." But then when you look at his track record as the head of the Dallas Cowboys, he's never hired a black head coach in 3 decades. He's never had more than two black coordinators under his watch. It doesn't seem like a lot of diversity under his
Mm-hmm.
reign of
Right.
control of the Dallas Cowboys. So some people might say, "Oh, well, maybe it just so happened." Well, I don't believe in too many coincidences. So I think I give my props to LeBron standing his ground, criticizing people for like, yo, every time a black athlete does something, y'all always shoving it down my throat for a quote or interview. But you don't want to ask me a simple question about this, and I think this is an important conversation because it does prove this people, like my girlfriend's grandparents, they're in their 80s, and they will tell me stories about the things that they see racism, and people forget there's still people living today that experience this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we believe it or not, we fail to realize a lot of these people are still walking this earth. Our
Right.
grandparents, our parents, in general, there's people still walking around us that saw what it was like back then, and they're still
Right.
living. So it does show to you that the history isn't that far away. The past isn't that far, and
Right.
we're just right.
Right. But I just also want to ask you a question before I give my take. So what does that influence your opinion on Jerry Jones at all? Like, what do you make of the fact that he was there in 1957?
You know, I'm gonna say this. I can't fault a person. Now, if he was a grown man, that'd be one thing. right? But 14 years old, I'd be hypocritical to say, hey man, I get the context of the situation. It's not the most it's not the most convenient and not the most it's not a thing that happens on a daily basis. But considering the time period, how young he was, I gotta I give him a slight pass because I won't criticize him for that particular photo, but his actions has proven so far that
Right.
maybe his explanation isn't excusable. I really think he does have some bias and some racism towards
Mm-hmm.
African Americans,
Right, right, right.
but I won't slander him based off just this one photo. It's more so his actions after it as well that proves that maybe there's a little more to that photo than he's saying.
Okay. Okay.
What do you
So
think?
so all right. Now I'm gonna go straight into the article, which was the very again impetus for me even feeling like I had something to say, which was when LeBron James came out during his, I guess, post-game conference and he started talking about it. Now I have an article of ironically enough, ESPN.com, and the article says after answering questions about the Los Angeles Lakers 128 to 109 win over the Portland Trailblazers on Wednesday, LeBron James turned things around on the reporters in the room with a query of his own. Why James wanted to know had he not why he had not been asked about a photograph that recently surfaced showing Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones at the age of 14 peering over a crowd of white students who were attempting to block 6 black students from entering the doors of the North Little Rock High School in 1957. James says, I got one question for you guys before you leave. I was thinking when I was on my way over here, I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo, James said. But when the Kyrie Irving thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that. He says, and his previous comments on the Kyrie Irving quote unquote situation was me personally, I don't condone any hate to any kind, to any race, to Jewish communities, to black communities, to Asian communities. You guys know where I stand. I believe what Kyrie Irving did caused some harm to a lot of people, and he has since over the last I think it was today or yesterday, he apologized, but he caused some harm, and I think it's unfortunate. Now, the reason why I felt like I wanted to speak on this at all, and I take issue with many things, and in fact, I sit on the polar opposite spectrum of how you feel about what LeBron James said. Now, here's my thing. I'm not going to give this man a pat on the back for anything about that. What was he supposed to say? So let's say if, in fact, the media did ask LeBron James about the Jerry Jones photo, what were you going to say? What were you going to do? What was gonna happen as a result of LeBron James saying something about the Jerry Jones situation? Because here's my thing, and this is what people fail to realize. We are in a white country, and you guys are trying to hold a white billionaire accountable for something that he did in 1957. That's not going to happen. What do people think is going to happen? Do they think that are they going to take the Dallas Cowboys away from him and then put a black owner in there? Not going to happen. Are they going to all of a sudden put a black staff as the Dallas Cowboys front office and all that stuff? It's not going to happen. So because when this whole Jerry Jones thing happened, like last week or whatever, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. And in fact, I mean, you could call me a little bit biased or whatever, but he looked the part. So when I seen the photo, I was just like, well, that's the type of time a lot of people be on. You'd be surprised because he come from that era. This man is 80 years old.
Right.
Do I feel that he, like you said, has some racial biases? Yes, he does. Because I'm not a fan of NFL. I don't watch football. The only thing that I know about Jerry Jones is that Errol Spence Jr., who was a boxer, has fought at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas a few times. So I've heard of Jerry Jones's name, over the course of a couple of years as far as Errol Spence is concerned. But again, this is a white country. It's owned by them because if you realize all of these people who own these sports teams, for the most part, they're all white. So again, LeBron James, what were you going to do? What were you going to say that was so, pivotal and such a turning point in the situation? You weren't going to say anything. Let me tell people something. Stop giving LeBron James a pat on the back for doing nothing. for doing nothing. This is not a guy who would be willing to sacrifice his platform to make a point. LeBron James is not a martyr. LeBron James is an athlete. That is what he is. Is he able to use his resources to do some good in various places? Yes, but he is not a leader for Black people. So people being like, yeah, LeBron, hold the media accountable. What is the media going to do? What is going to happen as a result of that? It's like, are people going to, stop freaking ordering stuff from Amazon because Amazon said that they weren't going to take the documentary that got Kyrie and all that trouble down? Is freaking who's the freaking CEO of Amazon? I forgot his name. What's his name?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Is Jeff Bezos going to go anywhere? No. You know why? Because Jerry Jones, Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Joe Biden, all of these people, they got the complexion for protection. So again, it's like me, y'all focusing on the wrong stuff. Y'all, it's like, to me, it's moot point. What is the media supposed to do? Of course, in a white country, Black people are going to get in trouble for doing less than a white person is going to get in trouble for doing the same thing, if not way more than that. So I'm not giving LeBron James a pat on the back, for saying, oh, how come you guys didn't ask me any questions? What were you going to say, LeBron? What were you going to say? LeBron James is not a Dr. Umar Johnson. He is not a Malcolm X. He is not a leader for Black people, because this is something that Malcolm X said, which is true. In what other community do you know that they like do white people look to athletes for leadership, for political leadership, for social leadership? They don't. Do Latinos look at their athletes for social, racial leadership, civil leadership? No, they don't. We're the only community that is giving freaking athletes, comedians, and actors a pat on the back for saying little to nothing. He didn't say anything. It's not like he was like, yo, because if I was LeBron James, let's say if I was LeBron James, why am I waiting for the media to ask me a question? I'm going to bring that shit up and I'm going to just say whatever it is that I feel like I need to say, and I'm going to drop some goddamn gems. What was the last time LeBron James said anything that I was like, wow, you know what? I got to give him credit for that. Because last I checked, freaking when everybody was on Kyrie Irving's case, he jumped on the same bandwagon and was on his case too. What did he say? He said, I don't respect what Kyrie Irving did. Then when everybody started to backtrack and say, oh, well, they're being a little too harsh on Kyrie, he did the same thing. LeBron James is a follower. He's not a leader. He is not a leader. LeBron James is only going to go with the wave. He's going to go with the wave to get a pat on the back.
But
Facts.
You know what? I agree with you in some instances, right? And I'll say this too. I think it's, as much as I preach about holding celebrities accountable, it would be unreasonable for me to expect LeBron to be as outspoken as you or me, because he does have more to lose. And besides,
that's what makes him not a leader. That's exactly what makes him not a leader.
But I think he's also at the point in his life. It's different when you're 20-something, early 30s, where you're young, you're having fun, you playing the games. Now he's at the point where he's pushing 40. He has kids in high school, going to almost to college, looking forward to join the NBA. He has his focus, I think, is less about trying to be the greatest basketball player of all time to now doing it for his sons, having his sons come up and rise. So
which is what every Black person in America is doing, worrying about themselves and the people in their immediate bubble. I'm not going to give him a pat on the back for that, for doing what everybody else is doing either.
But I have to give him credit, because he could have easily said, because I watched this whole interview that he did at the post game conference. And he said a little more than that, but the point that he was saying was keep the same energy. He said, I feel as
that's corny man, because in this country there's always going to be white people are always going to have the advantage in these types of situations. What do Black people do not understand about that? Like you're trying to ask for equality and you're never going to get it. All you got was integration. That's what you got. That's what you asked for. That's what you got. Black people are still second class, third class citizens in comparisons to white people. So how are you going to expect them to hold white people accountable when this is their country? This is their shit. This is their shit. But my thing is, it's not about talking about what everybody else is talking about. It's about talking about what people are not talking about. Because as far as I've seen in the last 5 years, anytime LeBron James ever spoke up about something, it's what everybody is talking about. See, what he needs to be talking about, let's say if you're going to talk about something, LeBron James, talk about the lack of Black legislation for us still. Talk about that. Talk about that. Don't talk about what everybody else is talking about, especially when you know that with all the media coverage and all of that, what happened, whatever really happens for Black people as a result of all of this widespread nationwide coverage? Nothing. Nothing. So if you're gonna, let's say if you're gonna talk about Jerry Jones, people are gonna talk about this shit. Well, what do you want to happen? What is the end result of that? What is it? Okay, so we saw him in the picture. All right, so now what? So where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? Because you know what's going to happen this time next year? Jerry Jones is going to be in the same situation that he is in now. You know what that is? He's still going to own the freaking Dallas Cowboys. He's still going to be a freaking billionaire. And he's still going to be freaking, minding his own damn business just like he's doing right now. So again, my thing is stop. It's things are still essentially the same as they were in 1957, except again, you as a Black man, you can go to a white establishment. You can go get a job at a white establishment. You can go to college. You're integrated into their society, but the way that you are still essentially treated, at a certain point is still the same. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to try to hold the media accountable, then hold the media accountable the right way. Stop talking about what everybody else is talking about. Because again, LeBron James is a basketball player. Kyrie Irving is a basketball player. These guys are never really going to talk about what really needs to be talked about. They're not going to do that. They're always going to stay in that safe lane. So therefore, I'm not going to give him credit like I would give maybe a Malcolm X or Dr. Umar Johnson credit. Why do you think you never see Dr. Umar Johnson on like ABC, Fox News, and all of that? You know why? Because he talks about what really needs to be talked about, and they will never give him that microphone because they know what he's going to do with it. They're going to give LeBron James that microphone. You want to know why? Because they know he's not really going to do shit with it. He's not really going to say shit. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter. That's all he's going to say. Oh, Jerry Jones. Oh, he's racist. Yeah. All right. So then what? Then what?
But I'll put. I agree with you, right? I think Dr. Umar Johnson deserves a bigger platform, right? And I think part of the reason why I say I'll give LeBron a shout out is because one of the things he said was, I feel like that this is what he said before he put down the mic and walked off. He said, I feel like as a Black man, as Black people, when we do something or something wrong or something that people don't agree with, it's on every single tabloid. Everybody shoving a mic in my face. We get criticized. But it seems to me like this whole Jerry situation, and I know it was years ago, we all make mistakes. I get it. But it seems like it was just buried like, oh, it never happened. Okay, let's just move on. And I was just very disappointed I haven't received that question from you. And I could see the sincerity coming from him. And I think, I said,
that's not sincerity to me.
I think it's but you also got to look at
that's redundant. That's redundant to me because everybody's saying that shit. But it's like, well, what's the end goal? Y'all just complaining. Complaining. What's the demand? So are you gonna say, all right, cool, we seen him in the picture, take the Dallas Cowboys away from him? That's something that actually makes sense because you're asking for something. You're not just complaining. It's like you're complaining, but what do you, all right, so I know you mad. All right, so what are you asking me to do? Now, here's my thing. Do you think Black people are ever gonna get equal treatment in a white country? Yes, we are integrated into their society, but do you think we're going to get the same type of treatment or the same level of accountability is going to be dished out on equally on all sides of the spectrum? Yes. So that's what, and you know that to be a fact because if you commit a crime and a white person commits the same exact crime as you, that there's a very good chance that white person is going to just get a slap on the wrist, some probation, and then get off scot-free. You, on the other hand, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. And it's the same thing when it comes to these media situations with these. And he's a billionaire. So you really think something's going to happen to a billionaire? Oh, yeah. Amazon flat out came out and said, no, we're not taking that documentary down because we feel like all sides of the spectrum needs to be represented. In terms of people's beliefs. You think Amazon is worried about what's going to happen to them after them saying a so-called a hate documentary, anti-Semitic document, we're not taking that shit down? You think they worried? All Kyrie Irving did was just retweet it. They said, we ain't taking it down. We ain't taking that shit. A white billionaire said, I'm not taking that shit down. You know why? Because he's a white person in a white country with the complexion for protection, so he knows the consequences are not the same. But Kyrie Irving, shit, if he were to stand 10 toes down on his beliefs, you think he'd be playing in the NBA right now? It's because he's not willing to put that shit on the chopping block for what he believes. These guys will never stand on their beliefs. These guys will never actually have a list of demands. They're not going to do that. All
But
they
you
can
know,
all they can really do is get the little flashlight, shine a light on something that's going on, and then maybe somebody can do the rest. But these guys are not leaders. They're not our leaders.
no,
LeBron James is not a leader for black people. Kyrie Irving is not a leader for black people. They're basketball players with an opinion, with very weak opinions at that. Because
but
again,
I would say
if
this.
I hold, I'm gonna let you finish. Because if I own some shit, right, and then I'm telling you, yo, if you don't get in line with what I'm doing or some shit like that, and I'm gonna fire you, or you can't do that shit no more. If you really believe what you're gonna believe, you're gonna stand on that shit. And they don't, they will never do it. They would didn't the NBA go have some like some strike or some shit in 2020 in response to like the racial tensions and all that shit when they were in like the bubble or some shit like that. I'm probably gonna have to Google it or something. And then what? They was on strike for one day. You know what happened after that? Them niggas played the next day. Them niggas played the next day. You know why? Because they need the NBA. They are employees. They work for the NBA. The NBA cuts their checks. LeBron James don't cut his own checks. And then if LeBron James really steps, and this is why there is a difference between LeBron James and Jerry Jones. And here's why. Because Jerry Jones can do and say whatever he wants in a white country, and his legacy as the Dallas Cowboys owner, as a billionaire and all of that is not at risk. He could do and pretty much whatever he wants for the most part. I'm pretty sure maybe like if he did something Harvey Weinstein related or some shit like that, maybe there'd be more risks involved like that. But in terms of just beliefs and some shit that you say, Jerry Jones is not worried. But if LeBron James says some shit out of pocket that the media is like, or white media is like, oh shit, what? His whole legacy is on the chopping block. LeBron James is number one right now, but let him do some shit like Kyrie Irving did. He's going to go from number one to number 9,999. He's gone. And you know why? Because he is black. He is a black man in a white country. So these guys are never going to say or do whatever it really takes to make any significant change. They're not going to do it. And honestly, it's easier said than done because in this country right now, they're not allowed to do that shit. So, go ahead, bro.
But you make good points. But I would also say too, I'm not saying LeBron, Kyrie Irving has to be leaders. But what I'm saying is when they speak out and they speak their truth, for instance, Kanye West, people like clowning this dude for, all the time. And we've seen that what happened to him. After a couple comments, he lost half his net worth. Now he has to pay Kim Kardashian a loads amount of child support and alimony. This dude is getting hung out to the cleaners. And for the longest, black people have been turned against Kanye. And I would say this, we need to stand up for each other. And this is why people like LeBron and Kyrie aren't willing to risk their neck. And that's why I'm saying, even for me, yes, could LeBron do more? Absolutely. But if I hypothetically, let's say tomorrow you blew up, right? You became the biggest movie star and you're very outspoken. You became the biggest movie star in Hollywood right today. And you starring in a superhero movie franchise, you're making lots of money. If when you up there, you're the only one by yourself. I'm not going to help you no more. None of your friends is going to help speak out for you anymore. Are you willing to die on the same hill you on right now and willing to risk to be in the face of a franchise, all that money to be able to provide for yourself, your family, whatever the case may be? Are you willing to risk that because you don't have that support at the top? I would say no. I wouldn't either, and I don't think I think that's fair. And I think the reason why LeBron and them are willing to stick their neck out is because we've seen time and time again. This is more of a conversation with black people. When you see other, black celebrities who's millionaires, even close to billionaires out here, at least trying to start a conversation instead of tearing them down like they did Ice Cube when he was trying to have a talk with Donald Trump about starting, some type of
contract with Black America.
Yeah, Black America people. Black people clowning the man, and so it's like, at what point do we as a people stand up? Because I guarantee you, if it was a Latino out there, it was an Asian up there, they'll have their people behind them. Like, absolutely, hell yeah, we stand with him.
See,
we criticize each other.
Well, but here's my thing. But my criticism is constructive criticism, and I believe it's fair criticism. And here's why. Because the NBA or the 2020 American athlete strikes happened in 2020, August 26, 2020. And I'm going to read the Wikipedia page. It says, on August 26, 2020, some professional athletes in the United States began to go on strike for their respective sports contests in response to the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. After the video of Blake's shooting, in which he was seriously injured, went viral, protests and riots broke out in the city of Kenosha and elsewhere. As a result of the shooting of Blake and the protests which followed, on August 26, professional athletes refused to play in their scheduled sports events, beginning with the Milwaukee Bucks of the National Basketball Association. Now, I'm going to read this part and follow me, because this is where I'm going with this. It says, during the 2020 NBA playoffs, players on the Milwaukee Bucks walked out of their August 26th first-round playoff game against the Orlando Magic in protest of the shooting of Jacob Blake. The team decided not to come out of their locker room for the game. It was initially reported the Bucks would forfeit the contest. However, the Magic did not accept the Bucks forfeiture. The NBA and the National Basketball Players Association, the NBPA, announced that in light of the Bucks' decision to refuse to play, all NBA games for the day would be postponed. Right? Now, I'm just going to go skip to the bottom. The NBA also postponed their scheduled playoff games for August 28th. The playoffs resumed on August 29th. This is what the conversation should be from LeBron James. Because, and you remember, and I've said in multiple quick takes, I don't give a fuck about what other people are doing. Jerry Jones's past is fucking inconsequential, especially the fact that I know nothing's going to happen to him. 2 years later, there's still no black legislation in this country. This shit is still going on right now. I posted something on my Instagram story, and I wonder if it's still there. But basically, it was another instance of freaking a police fucking shooting. And then it's just like, and I was saying to myself, I said, you rarely ever hear about these things happening all the time, and they're happening every single day. And it's rare that it's only maybe one or very few of them get, like national media coverage and stuff like that. And whatever happens as a result of that shit? Nothing. So what LeBron James really should be talking about is, we did an NBA boycott in response to the lack of legislative action taken, by the, U.S. government, shit like that. And nothing's happened since. That's what he needs to be talking about. Stop talking about, oh yeah, Jerry Jones was at a freaking protest in 1957, and damn well they're not taking that team away from him. His legacy is not going nowhere. His money's not going nowhere. So what are you complaining about the shit for? Oh, because the media don't treat him the same way he treats blacks. You know why? Because it's white media. Oh, you want white media to treat white billionaires the same way they treat freaking black millionaires and shit like that? That's never gonna happen. So again, I've always been saying, focus. If you're not asking for shit, or if you don't have a concise goal that needs to be met by such and such date, then it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? That's like you chop the head off of an ant and it's just a body moving around. It don't know where it's going. Organization demands. Because that's what I'm saying. If it's like, would you ask me for money, or would you ask somebody for money knowing that they're not going to give you any? Would you go somewhere? Would you go to somebody else's house for food and it ain't your house and you asking them for food? Or would you go get what you need to freaking make your own food and do it yourself?
Make my own food.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying. It's like, well, you're criticizing white media, but how about you invest in black media? Make sure that black media is front and center at your press junction, so they ask you those questions. If you wanna do something, that's what I'm saying. Because the media that he's criticizing, guess what, LeBron James? Guess what, people? It's not your media. ESPN is not. They got black faces on there, but is that a black network? No, it's not. Anytime these Jay Williams, Stephen A. Smith, freaking Jaylen Brown, if they say one thing out of turn, their job is in jeopardy. They could be gone tomorrow if they do something wrong. That's something that needs to be talked about. Because I think it was Jay Williams, he was like, man, he had a video and he was talking about the whole Kyrie Irving thing. And then he said, man, you know what? I could probably lose my job for this, but fuck it. And the conversation should be, well, why would you lose your job for just stating your fucking beliefs? This is what I'm saying. Yeah. So if you're gonna complain about white media, then say, you know what? Because LeBron James has the power to do it. Find all the small black, media outlets and stuff like that, and then make sure that they have a place at every single one of your press fucking conferences. Because when ABC, Fox, whomever shows up to his things, when they're not asking those questions, if you want people to ask you, get your own people to talk to you about that shit. Because I'm pretty sure if you were to turn that camera around, how many of those reporters will be fucking black in that grouping of news reporters? I'm pretty sure the lesser percentage of them, and I'm pretty sure the ones that are black, they in the back. They in the back. So that's what I'm saying. So you turn nothing into something. Because if you're LeBron James and your job or your purpose as a black athlete, like you said, if you're not willing to throw it on the line and your job or your purpose is to raise awareness to those things, if you care about them, then make it constructive. Stop asking them media that's not even on your side anyway, because them same media that's in front of him, the minute LeBron James does something wrong, they're going to be bombarding him with those questions. So why don't you make it a media consisting of media of your choosing?
I agree with you.
You're choosing.
Also,
facts.
But I agree with you. But that also does solve the issue. Why? Because even if he did that, that doesn't mean Steph Curry's going to do that. That don't mean Draymond Green is going to do that.
But you gotta say. But this is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what Steph Curry and whomever else is doing, because in the NBA, hold on. In the NBA right now, LeBron James is the freaking biggest NBA player still to this day. He's the most successful out of all of them today, other than Steph Curry. You don't think if he's, because they haven't thought about this shit. I haven't heard anybody say anything like that yet, because I'm just taking his complaint and trying to turn it into something. Because you don't think if he starts to do that, if that's their goal too, if they have that same grievance too, you don't think they're going to do the same thing? They're going to do the same thing, because I know for a fact the majority of the news reporters that show up for their post-fight interview, post-game interviews and stuff like that, they are all lesser percentage black. So I'm just taking what he said, and I'm trying to say, all right, well, this is what you should be doing. If that's what your problem is, that's what you asked for. That's what you asked for. So I would say, okay, so you know what? So since I feel like you guys are not being fair, then I'm gonna need new media over here, because you guys, I don't believe you guys are asking me the right question. That's what LeBron James should be saying. I would give him a pat on the back for saying that, because you're making change. You are making change. That's what you're doing. LeBron James has the power to do it. If your ass is not asking me the questions I feel like you need to be asking me, then I'm gonna need some new media up in here. I'm gonna need some unbiased media up in here. I'm gonna start to need to see some black faces up in here. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what you give LeBron James a pat on the back for saying that. Don't ask white media, oh yeah, oh, you guys aren't asking me questions about Jerry Jones. Well, you're asking white media to lambast and hold a white billionaire accountable. Well, it's not gonna happen. Get your own people up in there and do that shit. Because I'm pretty sure there are black sports outlets and stuff like that trying to come up and stuff like that. You don't think if LeBron James pulls them up, you don't think that's gonna help? And again, that's just me taking nothing, what he said, a whole bunch of nothing, and I just turned it into something. So you give LeBron James a pat on the back for doing that. You don't give him a pat on the back for just complaining at the fact that he wasn't asked a question. Nigga, speak on it then. Speak on that shit then.
Somewhere. You can't.
I'm not gonna wait for motherfucker. If I got some shit to say, I'm not gonna wait for a motherfucker to ask me about that shit. Nigga, I'm gonna just go out and say it myself.
But this is what I'm saying. It's easy for us to say that now, opposed to when we have, much more obligations than we do, because it's easier for us to do it now because we don't have as much to lose, which is why
But what's to lose? But let me ask you something. What's to lose by saying, all right, I'm not happy with the media that attends my post-game press conferences because I feel that they're not asking me, they're not fair. This is not fair media. I'm just putting myself in LeBron James's case. What do I have to lose by saying, all right, so if this is the case, so I'm going to go home and I'm going to put out like a tweet, because this is how you use your resources. I'm going to put out a tweet. What are some black, sports media outlets in Los Angeles that would like to come to my post-game press conferences but haven't had the opportunity to do so? And then those said people, I will select them. I will look into them. I will select them, and I will say, all right, now you guys have an opportunity to show up to every single media interaction that I have. Every interaction that I have at home games, you now have what do they call it? What do they call that shit?
Backstage access?
Yeah, exactly. You now have access. What's to lose in that? That's nothing. That's nothing, because people are giving him a pat on the back. Oh, for saying y'all not asking me questions. That's what you give a pat on the back for. Because when most of these NBA players anyway, they're annoyed by the media that shows up. Go on YouTube and YouTube angry Kevin Durant interview, angry LeBron James interview, angry this, angry that. They've been fighting with the media for mad long.
I agree with you,
That's what I'm saying. So that's how you turn nothing into something.
But the problem is these people. LeBron don't control the media. That's up to
you don't. He doesn't control the media, but you control the environment that you are in, because they don't even have to do media if they don't want to. They could just walk out. You've seen that plenty of times. So that's what I'm saying. You can just add into the environment. So now I can, because they could choose who to answer questions to. If I ask LeBron James a question, he don't want to answer it, he doesn't have to answer it. But I can say, all right, I'm only going to talk to the people that I asked to come here. That's not a problem. That's a problem if you were to say, oh, only black people allowed. No, but there will be the black people that I want to be here right now. Facts. And there's no harm in that. Why would he lose his platform for that? No. If I'm saying, yo, I like this media outlet, I think they got something going on, I want to help them grow, I'm gonna bring them in. That's a problem.
It's about to end. You want to
Yeah. So I'm gonna end and then we're gonna start back.
All right.
Okay.
No, like this conversation is not about who's right or who's wrong here, right? All I'm saying is this is a conversation that includes, for me, it has to be more black people. Why? Because you can't have a war with one person and you're facing, a million other people. So that's why I'm saying, like, for LeBron James, he could go out and say, yeah, I want to have more black media present who's going to ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. However, the problem is, okay, he could do that for himself, but what if the NBA is predominantly black, right?
Okay. Yeah, this 70% of the NBA is consists of black players.
I mean, that's basically the whole league, if you ask me.
Right.
I mean, the top earners are black. Mm-hmm. The best performers are black. This is an organization where if the black people all together, band together and say enough is enough, we want change, they could do it. Why? Because if you imagine you have a super team, you have LeBron, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, all these black celebrities who have the power and the voice to do so. Okay. If they all got on the same bandwagon and said, you know what, enough is enough, we want better media, we want better treatment, whatever the blah, say blah, that can happen. The problem is, okay, Kyrie Irving, let's say he speaks out about something. Does I agree with everything he's saying? No. But what happens? You have a bunch of other black people, Shaq, Charles Barkley, everybody else in part of the NBA criticizing the man instead of saying, you know what, he makes a good point about this. LeBron says something political. Oh, he's a basketball player, he shouldn't be getting political. Keep it out of it. But if all these black athletes got together and said, you know what, we're not here to make a political statement about who should be president. We're looking for better treatment for us.
Right.
I think that would be the solution. The problem is LeBron could go out and invoke all the things we're saying right now. But the problem is, if nobody's standing behind him to catch him if he fall, is it worth it at the end?
Right. But here's my thing. And I'm somebody that I consider myself to be a leader. You know what I'm saying? And for everything I just said, again, I took his nothing and I turned it into something. When you're a leader and you're a trailblazer, I can't be worried about who's behind me or what's behind me. You know why? Because I'm too busy trailblazing and I'm setting an example. Because people go based off of results. So if what you're doing is yielding results, if people feel that they share the same attitudes, mentalities, beliefs, mindsets as you, they're going to follow suit. The reason why you're not seeing anything happening is because no one thought of that yet. You see what I'm saying? No one thought of it yet. So that's the only reason why we haven't seen much of anything yet, is because of that. We haven't seen them think of that. You know why? Because again, the NBA is not consist of thinkers that are really on that type of time mentally. They don't have a revolutionary IQ whatsoever, because they are basketball players and they don't have anybody in their corner that's going to be like, yo, well, do this. Because I'm pretty sure if I told LeBron James, he would be like, oh shit, I didn't think of that. And then he would actually start doing it, because these are things that you can do, because they didn't build the Great Wall of China in one day. I'm gonna quote Will Smith. You got to just lay bricks. That's just a brick, a very solid, good brick, a golden brick that you're laying down. That could be the foundation of something much greater. Because again, the reason why black people have so many grievances is because we're relying on other people's shit. You see what I'm saying? And again, if
Right.
you're trying to ask me for something and it's not your shit, I could just give you the bare minimum and be like, well, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's my country, it's my shit. So I'm only gonna give you what I feel like you're deserving of. And then like you can't really do anything. Why? Because you're in my country, you work for my fucking company, and it's my shit. So that's the
Right.
problem. That's the problem. So
Right.
again, you're dealing with a situation that things can be taken away from people at any given time. Those said people are black people. That is never going to happen with Jerry Jones and them. And that's my whole thing.
Oh,
Is
I
that
agree.
the treatment will never be 100% the same, because still to this day we are still considered second-class citizens in various different aspects of United States society. That is it. The way that you combat that is you try to do things that will facilitate change for the benefit of people that look just like you. Until you start doing that, it is only going to be a bunch of complaining, protesting, and a whole bunch of nothing that's going to yield nothing. Failing to plan is planning to fail. That's it. What I just said is something that LeBron James could do that is not going to hurt anybody. He's not going to get in trouble for it, because again, if I like certain media, LeBron James isn't he almost a billionaire, or isn't he worth $1 billion fucking dollars? He can do that shit. I'm pretty sure he's not going to get in trouble for that. But let's say if he does, then that's a whole, fucking another fucking problem that I've already talked about anyway, because the NBA is a white organization. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And then again, it's not about, oh, well, Steph Curry has to do it and Kevin Durant has to do it. Well, guess what? If I'm LeBron James, if they're not doing it, fuck them. But I'm doing it. That's all that matters, because my microphone is big enough. Is my microphone? If LeBron James' microphone is bigger than Steph Curry's microphone, is bigger than Kevin Durant's microphone, yeah, people are listening to them, but they're not listening to them as much as they're listening to LeBron James. So he's all that, you know what I'm saying, they really need. He's all that's really needed, if that's the fucking case, because he's more famous than all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, again, if they feel the same way, they will follow suit. And if they don't, somebody else will. That's the point.
I agree with you, but I also say it's not the Malcolm X days are over. Why? Because now, like you said, we're in a position where the people that cut your check are the same people that if you offend, they could cut your check. So this is why I say it's like when people say, oh, all these black millionaires, they need to go out there and start, doing this and doing that. Well, you also got to keep in mind they got families to raise, they got people they have to, keep satisfied. Which is why I say the more the better. If I stand up to a gang on the street, there's 30 of them, and I stand up and there's people behind me, but nobody's getting up. They got the cameras out, and I get beat up. For what? What was the cause? So I can stand up and say I tried to do the right thing. Now I'm dead, and everybody else is alive. So I think for LeBron, this is why I say this. It needs to be more. Yeah, LeBron is the biggest voice in the NBA, but like you just said not too long ago, if they want to cut LeBron's head off, they will. And
but they won't cut his head off for that. And then again,
they wouldn't.
All right, real quick, my bad. But if I'm LeBron James and you're Steph Curry, and you say that you have the same grievances with society that I do, so let's say if you feel like you also feel like the media that attends your media, your press junkets and stuff like that, they're not really asking you the questions that you like to ask, or that you like to be asked, in terms of things that are going on in society right now, right? And then we both feel the same way, right? Then I do what I just said. So I start to get the media outlets that I'd like to speak to, and I have them attend. What are you going to do if you say you feel the same way that I do?
I'm gonna get my own.
Exactly. So it would set off a ripple effect, an avalanche effect. But somebody has to set the trend. When you're not dealing with critical thinkers, when you're not dealing with leaders, because I didn't think about this shit until now throughout having this conversation. When you're not dealing with critical thinkers, when you're not dealing with people who are actual leaders or who have that sort of consciousness, they're not really gonna think of that. So somebody has to initiate. I'm an initiator. So somebody has to initiate it, and then other people will follow suit. But you need an initiator who will actually think of that. Because I like to watch post-game interviews and stuff like that. I'll be watching them. I'm an NBA casual and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, they've been fighting with media for a long time. They don't have a good relationship with media. So you use your platform, your Twitter platform, where you got millions of fucking followers, and say, yo, who are the media outlets and stuff like that, black media outlets in whatever city that you play for, like I said earlier, and then you invite them. You now have access. I'm trying to remember what the fuck it's called, like what media uses to get in there. What the fuck is it called? I forgot. But like I said, we're gonna say access. That's what it is.
I think that's a good solution, right? I just think that
it's a great solution. It's the only solution to what he said his problem is. Because that's not the solution to black people's issues today. But I'm just saying what he should have said, because you gave him a pat on the back. I said, give him a pat on the back for saying that. That's for doing that, not just talking, but do something about it. Because you just talk and you don't do something, or if you don't ask for anything, then what the fuck? It's just talking. Like I said, there was an NBA boycott because of the lack of legislation today. There's still 2 years later, there's still no legislation that will prevent you from getting hurt in police custody, roadside, in police custody, in jail.
And that's exactly my point.
So that's what I'm saying. But yet he's talking about Jerry Jones's picture in 1957. No amount of talking about it is going to change the fact that he was there in 1957. So what's going to happen now? What are we doing now? Nothing. So how about we go back to the fact that the NBA boycott yielded no tangible results thus
You know why? You know why? It's not because, and this is a critical thing that I've always been saying, it's not about one person starting it. The problem is black people aren't staying together with it. Yeah, George Floyd happened, but 2 years later, you don't see no protesting going on. You don't see no riots going on. Nobody talking about George Floyd no more. Why? Because nobody's doing it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, LeBron could start that change, but the problem is if nobody else is going to jump on the bandwagon, okay,
you will never know that until you actually do this shit. This is what I'm saying. People rarely ever do. People ever really all move at one time. You already know that black people are not a race of people that move collectively together as a fucking unit. People look to celebrities to follow. People look for somebody to motherfucking follow. Who came up with the motherfucking NBPA? Who has the most voice in the NBPA? Motherfucking LeBron James does. LeBron James has people, and people in the league, out the league, know how much power this guy has. If you play for his team, if he don't want you to play, you would dead ass get no minutes. Okay, so he has shit. Motherfuckers call him damn near the GM of the fucking Los Angeles Lakers. Again, if I'm LeBron James, and that's the problem that I said I had, I can't be worried about what other people are doing or not doing. If this is the problem that I say I had, then this is what I believe the solution is going to be. So I have to do it. And if it's something that is actually going to yield tangible results, trust me, the right people will follow suit. It's not even outside of the motherfucking NBA. People feel the same way. They're going to do that. They're going to do that. So you can't say, oh, I'm not going to do it because I feel like people, other athletes in the fucking league are not going to do the same shit too. But you say you want to do it, right? Somebody has to do it. If you can't wait for other people to do shit, because if you wait for other people, it will never get done. It will never get done. So that's what I'm saying. This is the solution for what his issue, what he said it was. So if you feel like they're not asking you the right questions, then get people who are going to ask you the right question. That's the solution. If I'm LeBron James, why the fuck am I going to wait for Kevin Durant to do this shit? Especially, what if he doesn't care? What if he doesn't care as much as I do? Kevin Durant, what?
That's exactly my point. Is because, okay, LeBron, let's say tomorrow he said, I want all the black media at the press conferences, right? Okay, they all show up tomorrow. LeBron leaves the station, leaves the press interview. What happens now? If Kevin Durant, if all these other black athletes aren't doing it, follow suit.
But look at how much conversation was sparked just because LeBron James talked about that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because if that was the case, if people were waiting for everybody to say some shit, then nobody would have cared about what LeBron James said. That's why I said his microphone is bigger than all of their microphones combined. When was the last time you heard about Draymond Green saying anything about what's going on right now? Never. Kevin Durant is more concerned about his own basketball career than he was concerned about Kyrie Irving's shit. What did he say? The bare fucking minimum. That's what I mean. People are listening. When LeBron James speaks, people are fucking listening. So now when you have the right people there asking him the right fucking questions, that's when you're going to yield results, because everybody's listening to him. You have white media listening to him, and now you have black media listening to him, which is going to give them a fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's a mutually beneficial relationship that will then be sparked as a result of that sort of change. Again, if you're dealing with other people in the league that say that they feel the same way, that's when it happens. But somebody's got to start it. That's what leaders do. That's what leaders do. They fucking lead. They lead, and then other people fucking follow. That's how it is. And a lot of people follow LeBron James. If that light bulb never went off on anybody's fucking heads, then it's never going to happen until that light bulb fucking goes off. But trust me, I think at some point, somebody's going to think of that because they don't like the fucking media. If that was the case, then Kyrie Irving wouldn't have had such a bad relationship with media since he's been in Brooklyn. So that's what I'm saying. Don't say, oh, well, if I feel like people are not going to follow me, then I shouldn't do it. What the fuck? That's like if I said, oh, well, I feel like people ain't going to watch my YouTube channel, so that means I shouldn't make it? That's the same. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You start something and then it grows over time. We're living in a society full of followers and not enough leaders. That's how it works. That's the only way it works. I have to start it in order for people to want to do it too. That's how it is. If people look up to me, people follow me. I'm the biggest motherfucking player in the NBA. You don't think somebody's going to do the same thing? You don't think somebody's going to do the same thing? Especially when I open my mouth. ESPN reports on it. Fox News reports on it, this, and that. Like, that's the solution. Because they're not going to ask you because they don't want you to talk about it. They don't want you to bring more light on it. And look at the amount of attention he got just from the fact that he said, yo, y'all not asking me about it. Now, we talking about it. So imagine if two things. He just decided to fucking talk about it and say whatever the hell it is he felt like he needed to say about the shit, condemn him, whatever. Because like I said, I'm not gonna wait for somebody to ask me about how I feel. If I'm feeling some type of way, nigga, I'm just gonna tell you that shit. Or two, he said, all right, so from now on, I'm gonna have certain media I'm gonna answer their questions first. So I'm gonna have 3 media outlets and I'm gonna talk to them first. The first 5 to 10 minutes of my shit is gonna be dedicated to them. Then I answer everybody else's shit secondary. That's how you influence change. You get your people in the fucking conversation. You get your people in the motherfucking building. Because when you're in a building surrounded by people that are not your own, they're not going to ask you the questions that you want them to ask you. Facts.
I agree with you, but
that's what it is.
That's what it is. But you know what? LeBron he's not a billionaire yet. He doesn't have the same influence as a lot of billionaires do. He does have major influence, which is why I say it starts with him. However, the problem is LeBron has a lot to lose, and if
you're not going to lose anything by doing that. That's what I told you that before. You're not going to lose anything by doing just that. Because did they lose anything doing that 2-day long boycott in 2020? No, they didn't.
That was because they did it together. That wasn't if it was one person sitting in the locker room. You think that everybody else going to sit in the locker room? No, they did it as a collective. And which is why, all right, LeBron started the conversation, right? But what happens if the interview people is like, you know what? We don't want to talk to LeBron for a couple of weeks. I'm going to talk to Kyrie Irving, right? Kyrie Irving sits down. He don't care. Next person sit down. They don't care. The conversation stops. Why? Because
but let's be realistic. Why would media stop talking to LeBron James? that's never going to happen in the NBA.
Conversation.
Say that again?
Because the media controls the conversation. So if they know that, for instance, if I know
they only control the conversation if you allow them to control the conversation. So let's say if you wait for them to ask you a question, and basically, so if you never ask me the question, then I'm never going to give my opinion. That's what I'm saying. You're allowing people to limit your fucking self. That's why that's why I feel like whatever he felt he needed to say, I felt like he should have just said that shit anyway. He should be like, well, y'all didn't ask me a question. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and ask myself the question, and I'm a motherfucking answer it, because that's just the type of guy that I am. Or like I said, I bring people in. I'm not sure what about this you don't understand.
No, because because you're
not because I'm not telling him to go and say, oh yeah, Jerry, and start hurling racial slurs Jerry Jones's way, start to lambast him and on that, because that's not going anywhere. And I've said in multiple quick takes that what other people are doing really it's not important anymore. It's about what we're doing, and that to me is a step in a really great direction. It's a step in a good direction, in my opinion, because the NBA players will have better relationships with the media. They feel like they have a better space and open space to talk about whatever they feel like they needed to talk about. And then they can also talk to other media outlets too. But the ones that they like take precedence over anything. That's but how do you go wrong with that?
No, but I agree with you. But the thing, what I'm saying is, You're now telling me that LeBron is going to replace ESPN's people, CNN people,
I never said that. I said if I'm LeBron James, I'm gonna go on Twitter. I'm gonna say who are some media outlets that I don't know why I keep forgetting that now. Who are some media outlets that would like to attend my shit? 1, 2, maybe 3 of them. I'm going to talk to them first because I want to talk to them. Because I'm going to talk to them about shit that I'm not going to talk to ABC, ESPN, and all that shit. So I'm only going to talk to them about what happened on the court, but everything that I feel like I want to talk about outside the court, I'm going to talk to them exclusively about that. And it's going to help because we need to start building up our own shit because Fox is not a black network. ESPN is not a black network. So every time I talk, I'm talking to them and I'm giving them all the numbers. So how about I share some of those numbers with people that I like, that I get to talk to about whatever the hell it is I want to talk about. And I feel more comfortable talking to them about this because I invited them. How many of these news reporters do they actually know? I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably see the same faces, but at the same time, it's like, well, which of them were actually invited? That's what I'm saying. So what's to lose in a situation where you're adding controlled variables to an uncontrolled situation?
Well,
or presumably uncontrolled situation.
See, that's a good solution for him. The problem is
for the NBA, because I'm pretty sure if Kyrie Irving was listening to this, I'm pretty sure he would agree. If LeBron James was listening to this, I'm pretty sure he would agree. He would say, well, you know what, that's actually not a bad idea. And then they would take my rough around the edges idea and then turn it into something that works for them. But that's not a bad idea across the spectrum. So
yeah, it's not a bad idea.
But they're not going to lose anything because you're only going to lose shit when you get the microphone and you say the wrong thing. When you attack people, it's not about attacking people. It's about how could I, as the biggest NBA player in the world, get in trouble for saying, well, you know, I've really been thinking about the NBA boycott in 2020 and how the reason for us boycotting was the fact that there's nothing that protects black people in police custody when they're around police. And nothing has happened since then. And, you know, I just want to bring that up into conversation. You know, that, I'm going to get in trouble for that? Then that just goes to show if he gets in trouble for that, if he gets in trouble for that, then maybe he shouldn't be in the NBA anymore. Because people will never pay attention to Ice Cube's league or other leagues that black people try to start because why? They love the white league.
Right. And this is why I'm saying this is why I gave him props. I'm not saying what he did was the greatest thing in the world, but this is why I'm saying I give him props because he chose to go out there and say, keep the same energy. If you're gonna ask me about Kyrie Irving, you can ask me about this white billionaire. I think that's a good step. And I think too.
All right, but let me ask you something though. So if what's gonna happen if he just keeps talking to the same people that he feels like they're not asking him the right questions? If he just goes the rest of the season, it's just the same people that ain't asking him them questions. What's gonna happen then?
I think silence is a great. If okay, they could keep asking him questions. Don't mean he has to answer them. He could just sit at the thing. It was like
no, but they're not asking him the questions that he feels they should be asking him. If he keeps talking to what he feels is unfair media, what is that going to mean to anybody next year if he keeps talking to the same people?
Well, that's
exactly. Exactly. Nothing.
No, but you could. I see it in the UFC all the time. I'll see certain black athletes when they don't want to talk to the media about something, they won't. Next question, next person. I want to talk to this guy. That's what they'll do. They'll point to their favorite.
So you mean
answer the question?
All right.
They don't have the power because the NBA generally are the people that give these people the access. LeBron, as big as he is, unfortunately, he can't just give people backstage passes because that's security and all that stuff that has to go with legal stuff. The NBA are the ones that approve it. So yeah, LeBron can have
a media credential. That's what it's called. Yeah, media credential. Yes, that's exactly what it's called.
That out. And I'll see, like, for instance, Israel Adesanya. He was doing an interview and he was talking to Ariel Helwani about this. He's like, I get tired of the media and I want to have better media, but the problem is the UFC the ones that approve it. So what he did, he just went on his own YouTube channel. He has his brother record his interviews.
Boom. So exactly. So you see, that is a variant of what I just said. That is literally a variant of what I just said. So if this situation is not going to be a situation that is to my liking, then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to modify a situation where it could yield the results that I want to yield because I'm not going to get it from that. It's literally the same
It's
principle.
the
It's
same.
literally the same coin, different fucking sides. Facts.
No,
Facts.
it is the same coin, but the difference is Israel Adesanya went to a different. He's doing it his own individual stuff, his own platform. The problem is LeBron can't do it by himself because the NBA ultimately are the ones that give the credentials out. So he could go out and say, "I want to give all the black media. I want to give 50 black media."
But you see, but the fact that let's see, but that's gonna just go to show my whole point anyway that I've been saying just even before today. The fact that if LeBron James was not able to get a media credential for certain outlets that he feels, are more fair, then that just shines more of a light on why the NBA is not the right institution for black people, or it's not an institution or an organization for them. Because that just goes to show that we only want you to talk about what we want you to talk about in basketball, and you can't talk about anything else. That just goes to show that's a problem. This is what I said. So I'm like, if you're in an organization that is only letting you operate and behave within certain parameters, and that's fine because that's their shit. That's their organization. I mean, hey, whatever floats their boat is their shit, right? But if they aren't even gonna let you speak your mind about whatever it is that you want to talk about, then that just goes to show we need our own fucking NBA. That's just it.
I agree.
And that's what I said about the whole Kanye West shit. Kanye West, my whole takeaway from this shit is black people don't own anything. Because once Kanye West said, "Oh yeah, I'm really a Jew and I'm this, I'm that," what happened? They took everything away from him. They took everything away. Everything is gone. So now Kanye West is like a whatever. Basically, he doesn't have what he had before. Why? Because he didn't own any of those things. So if I give you some shit, but I'm able to take it away whenever I want to, it's not yours. It's still mine. So that's my point. Ownership. Take ownership of the situation. You hear these things. There's a reason why they use that terminology. So I'm saying that LeBron James should henceforth, because I'm a solution-oriented guy. All right, so we know what the problem is. Okay, all right, so now what's the solution? And what is some solution that's gonna yield real, tangible results? Take ownership of the situation. Take ownership. And if it's a situation where you can't, create something that can. Boom. That's it.
Oh, I agree. And this is why, to your point, I think you're misinterpreting me. I think you're saying I don't agree with you. When I'm saying this, I do agree with you.
I think you do, because you and I, obviously, you would not be doing quick takes and shit like that with me if we just couldn't agree on, like the important things. So if I'm saying like, yo, I want black people to do better, and you don't, there's not a lot you and I can talk about. I think you just believe that he should have more backing, or if it's not going to have widespread, NBA across the board participation in what I believe the solution is, then it's not going to yield any results, which I believe, again, that's the whole purpose of leaders. That's why you have leaders, because they're the ones that start it when nobody else does. They're the ones who believe in it before anybody else does. And then once they do it, and because people go off of social proof these days. That's why, like, we talk about how, like, they don't want, they'll get actors who have millions of followers that are not skilled over an actor that has 1,000 followers and is way skilled than them, because they go off of social proof. People look at results. People respect results. It's like people respect the guy that goes to the gym and has the body aesthetic, has the abs and all of that. Why? Because they people respect results. If you start something and you actually get the results that you set out to get, people respect that and they follow suit. That's
follow suit.
Huh?
They do follow suit, but
they do. But it's no buts. It's no buts, because LeBron James' his platform is not at risk by seeking out media credentials for select media that he wants. Because if I say to myself, all right, I'm only going to talk to ABC. I'm only going to talk to DTE News and ZYF News about social shit, then that means every time I talk about social shit, I'm only talking to them about it. So if you want to know my opinion about what's going on in the world, now you can only go to that specific network for that. And what does that do? That increases the worth of that black network. So then now we'll have some shit eventually that's on par with an ESPN, that's on par with a this and that and shit like that. Because why? Because I created a what is that shit called? Like a branch that a conduit. Like now I'm now a conduit that extends to other Black owned networks and stuff like that. Because the thing is, they exist. Or I mean, as far as I'm pretty sure they're out there, but they don't have the same worth or backing, broad-based support of Black people as the other ones do, as ESPN do. That's a fact. So if I now use my platform as a conduit to facilitate that worth over to them, I can't. There's no hurting myself by doing that, and it can't be taken away either. That's like Donald Trump. You know what he did? They banned him off of Twitter, so then he created True Social. That's what you do. And then he said, even if Elon Musk owns Twitter now, and they reinstated my account, I'm not coming back. So if you want to know what I think, come to True Social. That's what Black people need to do. That same shit. I'm not going to the most popular shit. I'm going to come to my shit where I'm at. That's what you do.
Right.
That is exactly what Black people need to do across the motherfucking board. Yeah, it might be easy to use the bigger, and at first better platform and shit like that, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all of that. But if you really believe in your own shit and you stick to your motherfucking guns, people will follow. That's like let's say when Dame Dash came to the Breakfast Club and he was talking to Charlamagne, DJ Envy and Angela Yee, and he was like, yo, first of all, all three of you can get fired from the fucking Breakfast Club. And they were like, yeah. He was like, yo, you don't think if y'all collectively just left and started your own shit that people wouldn't follow you? That's the fact. If they actually were like, you know what? We're going to start our own shit. That shit would be bigger than the Breakfast Club in a fucking heartbeat.
It would be.
In a heartbeat. But the thing is, a lot of people don't want to go through like the whole process of starting some shit from scratch. That's like you were in a relationship for 20 fucking years. And then you get a divorce, and then really to start with somebody else, you got to start from scratch. That's why a lot of people, they either stay by themselves or they get back with their ex, because to start from scratch is a daunting shit that people don't want to go through, especially when you got to put your own fucking money up. You got to put your own fucking money up, because LeBron James doesn't put his own money up for shit. All these endorsements, those sneakers, the LeBron sneakers, they don't come from him. He don't own them shits. They can decide to stop releasing them tomorrow, just like they did with fucking Kyrie Irving. You know how Jerry Jones got to where he's at right now? Because he was a fucking leader. You want to know why Donald Trump, people are on True Social right now, probably the hundreds of thousands of people? Because he was a fucking leader and he started some shit. He said, if I'm not allowed to say what the fuck I want to say on Twitter, I'm going to create my own shit. And whether people follow me or not, that doesn't matter. But if you want to know what I think, you got to come over here. You got to come over here. That's what Black people need to do. Leave the shiny shit by yourself, and you're going to have to start from fucking scratch, whatever that shit fucking looks like. And again, it doesn't fucking feel good. I'm like, yo, again, I don't have anybody shouting out my motherfucking, YouTube page and shit like that. I started some shit from scratch, and I took pride in what I started some shit from scratch. That's the same fucking principle. You got to start from scratch or take ownership of the situation. In one of my videos, I said that. I said, all right, well, if you have no choice but to be around these people, in my confidence video, I said, then you got to take the power out of their fucking hands. You got to take the power out of their hands, however way you can do that shit, and take ownership of the situation that you otherwise cannot control. That's a fact. Because if you operate the right way, if you're not, like I said, I'm not racist. I don't call white people out of their name. I don't hate, white people, Latino people, Asian people, Indian people. What they do is irrelevant to me, because I care about what Black people are doing, because I want us to build our own shit up. Because let's say if LeBron James was like, yo, if you want to know where I'm at or some shit like that, or what I want to, if he was really like me and was on that type of shit, I would get it too. You don't think I thought twice about going on True Social because I don't care about Joe Biden? I want to know what Donald Trump is saying. That's a fact. I'll get on True fucking Social, but that's what you do. If you're not hurting anybody, you shouldn't have no issues. That's my thing. That's my main thing. If what you're doing is not hurting anyone, in this day and age right now, if people attack you and you're not hurting anybody, then it's going to shine a light on how devious and evil that person is, or how wrong they are. That's why I feel like LeBron James and whomever else, when they do shit like that, it shouldn't be no problem. Just don't go attacking people. Don't say, oh, well, me being Jewish means that they're not. No, just be what you are and be that. But don't attack people, because once you attack people and you poke the bear, then you're going to have problems. Just don't poke the bear, mind your business, and build your own shit. If you want to get to where Jerry Jones is at, you want to get to where Donald Trump is at, and other people like that, they started from scratch because there was a time where nobody knew who the fuck Jerry Jones was. There's no rebuttal to that shit.
No, but I will also say you can never get to that point without help, and that's what I'm saying. LeBron, as much money,
but you will never get to that point if you don't start it. You will never get to that point if you do not start it. I will never get to that point of 10,000 fucking subscribers if I do not start it. If I do not continue going. Because you're never going to get the support that you want to get when you start some shit. When do people ever really support somebody when they first start? And never. That's just a fact. So don't wait for help. Be your own help. I'm saying, like, I get what you're saying by that, but when you have that mentality, you will never actually fucking get what you really want to get if you're waiting to get help. Because sometimes help is not going to come. You have to be your own help. That is a fact. That is an undisputed fact of life. When you are starting anything, you are not going to get the help you want right a fucking way. People are going to look at like, yo, LeBron is starting this. Oh, yo, that's not lit. That's not whatever. But if he fucking keeps going and it builds up, you don't know what it's going to fucking become. Because that's how it is. You lay fucking bricks one at a time. The shit might not look like much, initially, but 2 years down the line, if you keep going, you're going to have a fucking big ass wall. That's how it is. That is how it is. That is a fact. So I don't say, oh, well, he needs help. He will get help, but he has to start it. If people don't see you doing nothing, how are they going to help you if you don't start it? You have to start doing it. You do it. People see you up to something. If they believe in what you're doing, they will help you. But you're not going to get help if you do not start doing it. You have to do it. LeBron James, whomever, they have to do it. Like, I have a YouTube channel. Well, shit, people are not going to subscribe if they don't see me doing something. They got to see my videos, believe in what I'm doing, then they subscribe. That's how it is. That's how it works in life. Because if I wait for people to support me and all that shit, people are, trust me, and I already know this shit, and I'm not famous, none of that. People are not going to want to fucking support me when I first start doing some shit, but I have to keep laying bricks. I have to keep going. Because eventually it's going to be so big that people have no choice but to believe in what the fuck I'm doing. Why? Because I was my own help. That is a fact. Fact. And LeBron James has the resources, so he doesn't have to wait for, these other guys to help him. No, he could do that shit himself. He can do that shit himself. So I understand what you're saying. Yes, you do need help. You do need a team of people, but LeBron James already has that. Because he got us talking about that shit. He's the reason why I started talking about it anyway. Because I saw loopholes and chinks in what the fuck he was saying. So I'm just filling in where I think the gaps are. Because like you said, he was onto something. And I believe he was onto something, but he was just missing certain elements, and I filled in the gaps. So yes, I'm just heads and you're tails. Because like I said, you have to spearhead some shit. And then what comes after the head? The fucking tails, the support. But you gotta spearhead that shit first. Don't wait for people. Don't wait for people. Because all these motherfucking black leaders and shit like that, anybody worth nobody was behind them in the beginning. But if they kept fucking going, people see shit and they believe in it. That's the only reason why Malcolm X had fucking followers and shit like that. Why? Because he kept going and people believed in his shit. That's the only reason why Dr. Umar Johnson has a following, because he kept going, he kept speaking. People believe in what he says, and then they follow him. That's why he has speaking engagements and stuff like that. People show up. So that's what I'm saying. He's not what I'm asking or what I think LeBron James should do. What I think these people should be doing. What I'm gonna do is not hurting anybody. It's not hurting anybody, because I'm not looking to attack anyone else. I'm looking to help my own people that look just like me. He doesn't have to ignore ESPN. He doesn't have to ignore Fox, ABC, this and that, but just bring people that you like in and talk to them only. The only way you get to a Jerry Jones, you get to a Donald Trump billionaire status, you gotta spearhead. And most of these people they're gonna tell you they didn't have help in the beginning. That is a fact. When I started my YouTube channel, I didn't have help. So when I got from 0 to 1,000, like I said, that was all me. Because I kept going, and then people saw, oh shit, he's onto something. He believes in himself, so I'm gonna believe in him too. Facts. So if you're a subscriber, you're listening to this, shout outs to you. And what are your thoughts? Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.